Mr. Speaker, this week the unwavering bravery of Brianna Jay's mother, Esther, has touched us all. As a father, I can't even imagine the pain that she's going through, and I'm glad that she's with us in the gallery here today. So what exactly did he mean when he said it's on him personally if he doesn't meet his promise?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, well, we are bringing the waiting list down for the longest waiters. We're making progress. But it's a bit rich, Mr. Speaker, to hear about promises from someone who's broken every single promise he was elected on. Defining a woman. Although in fairness, that was only 99% of a U-turn.
Of all the weeks to say that, when Brianna's mother is in this chamber, shame, parading as a man of integrity when he's got absolutely no responsibility.
Now, of course, this is ridiculous. It is absolutely abhorrent and obscene of all of the times for him to do this. And it's good that Starmer called him out. I think it was pointed out by somebody on Twitter that he looked genuinely shocked when he saw this happening, right? But you know, of course, as has been pointed out in chat, all of the Tories jeering the background. Our health secretary, the person who's in charge of transgender healthcare in this country, Victoria Atkins, laughing along at this nonsense, whilst Esther Jai looks on from the background. And he's not apologised. There's been no apology for any of this. He got asked in PMQs to apologise by this twist. His spokespeople confirmed afterwards that there was going to be no apology. On PMQs and on Sophie Ridge, Laura Trott saying there's not going to be an apology, despite, of course, her looking very uncomfortable in both of these situations. And he is rightfully, Sunak has been castigated by this within the media, throughout the media. But what I wanted to touch on in this section, is the absolute rank hypocrisy. The rank hypocrisy. Of course, it's disgusting, given that this kind of rhetoric, their kind of policies that these people are pushing within the Conservative Party, they're trying to push through, have led to the kind of fever pitch anti-trans rhetoric within our society. This is something that has been bred within the media. This has specifically been bred within the media. This is a media narrative that the Tories have taken on. The spin doctors have seen the papers be using trans people as a stick to beat people with, and they have run with it as their electoral platform by getting down in the culture war sewers. You've not even been asked by Brianna's father to apologise and still refused. A woman, right? Esther Jai, a woman who was so personally saintly in her response to everything that she even reached out to the parents of the children who killed her child and gave them sympathy for them losing their children to prison as well. Not seeing their own children. I mean, the parents who have to know that the child that you brought up did what they did. Right? She was so saintly that she even reached out to these people because she is an absolute paragon of human empathy. But of course, Rishi Sunak and his friends and the Conservative Party and their friends and the press, they're very happy to use trans people as a stick to beat other people with, regardless of the day. Whether Esther Jai is there or not, they would still be using these lines. And it's a bit rich. It's a bit rich for the people in the press. People reporting in The Guardian, for example, to say, oh, this is all out in poor taste, isn't it? Because the taste here is what matters. The taste here is what is key in terms of the reaction to this. Now, I do think, of course, it is worse doing it whilst Esther Jai is there. And a lot of floating people who really care about trans issues, or who are like not on board with the trans stuff but don't really care, or in the vast majority of cases find it undermining the real issues going on in this country. These people are now going to be completely turned off Sunak, right? Even like some people who are maybe like leaning towards gender critical would think that this was absolutely abhorrent and vile that he did what he did right now. But there are plenty of people in the media who are treating this as some kind of unique flashpoint where now transphobia is bad. All the other times it was fine. It was just political banter. We're going to analyse it from the lobby. But now he's doing it with Esther Jai's there. Now it's crossed the line at which transphobia is now unacceptable. I just don't care about these journalists anymore. I don't care about these people who've been festering this anti-trans rhetoric. They've been letting it boil. They've been ignoring the absolutely repugnant stuff that comes out of gender critical's mouths nowadays. Because this isn't half of what you hear on the internet. The dehumanising language around Brianna Ghey that's come from gender critical types has been nothing short of completely rancid. It's been putrid. It's been disgusting. The kind of dehumanisation that you hear about her. And where else would we lead other than Rishi Sunak using these people, using us as a punchline on Keir Starmer, whilst the bereaved mother of a dead trans child, at which we've now known from the prosecution, where transphobia was partly the reason why that her life was taken from her. It's just par for the course at this point. And this was the kind of rhetoric that these media hacks have cultivated in this country, and they have zero contrition for it. Zero. They will do no introspection. That maybe the point that we're at right now, where Rishi Sunak feels happy doing this, and feels happy not apologising for it, where Liz Truss was saying the same stuff yesterday, and they were just talking about how, oh, look at Liz Truss's pitch, rather than, isn't she being a bit transphobic? Right? Do you think she's using trans people? She's weaponising trans people. All of these same journalists who are now wringing their hands what Rishi Sunak did today, they were just innocent bystanders to what Liz Truss was saying at the Popular Conservatism conference the other day. No, it's on it. No, I will not accept it. I will not accept these people. The Daily Mail people who were posting pictures of the killers of Brianna just the other day in the most abhorrent way. It was the Telegraph, sorry. Well, again, the people said it was uncouth for him to do it, and you've made your bed, folks. You better lie in it. You better lie in it. One thing I will say as well is that it's clear Labour have changed their strategy on this. It's clear Labour really don't want to fight culture wars and are sick of fighting culture wars. And also they've noticed that the people don't want to fight culture wars either. The people are sick of culture wars. If you're a normal human being who's watching your mortgage increase, you're watching your rent increase, you're watching your food prices increase, you're watching public services collapse, and you're watching the NHS on its knees, the last thing that you care about is nonsense stuff about trans people and what Keir Starmer thinks a woman is. And it's clear Labour have changed their position to try and undermine this. Well, I saw a speech the other day, a couple of months ago, or that was last month, of Keir Starmer saying the Tories are dragging down the discourse. They're trying to divide the country rather than unite it. All of that kind of performative stuff. But it's clear that they want to make a dividing line between what's going on in the Tories and what's going on within Labour. And if you're Rishi Sunak, and you want to not seem completely detached from the lives of normal people, because he is, and that's the number one complaint you hear about Sunak, oh, he's a millionaire, oh, he doesn't know what working people want, he doesn't know what normal people are about. The fact that he sees fit to engage in this culture war mudslinging, using transphobia as a weapon, it's going to do is make people hate Rishi Sunak even worse. But will they say the same stuff about Badenoch's statements? No, they won't. The people in the media. They won't criticise anybody else. It's just the line is crossed when Esther Jai is in... Because they were the feelings, right? Esther Jai, is, as I've said, is a saint, and what's happened to her is absolutely miserable. But it seems to me that when it comes to Brianna dying, it's just, isn't it sad? Isn't it unfortunate? But, people can have their own opinions about what they think about Brianna. But when Esther Jai's feelings are hurt, suddenly that's the line that gets crossed. The line was crossed ages ago. The line in the sand is just so far past the line in the sand at this point that I honestly, I'm beyond caring about what these absolute troglodytes think of trans discourse in this country, because they're the ones who have driven both the kind of rhetoric that led to the murder of Brianna in the first place and the kind of rhetoric that led to Rishi Sunak saying this absolutely rancid stuff in the Commons on the same day. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And people will say, oh, we're weaponising Brianna's murder. When, no, it's not weaponising to say that what happened to Brianna is the result of the rhetoric that these people pulled. And they have to say that it's politicising the issue to call up their transphobia in response. Because it's exactly the same as when you look at firearm violence in the United States. Or it's politicising the tragedy. If you say, well, maybe these policies that you push are the reason why we've lost these people's lives. Because if they didn't say that it was politicising it and that you need to separate these things, they would have to realise, they have to look in the mirror in the morning. People like Sunak, people like Badenoch, people like Liz Truss, they have to look in the mirror every single morning and see the person who pushes the narrative that causes people to kill people. And they wouldn't have to deal with that. They don't want to have to face the facts of what they've become. And that's why Rishi Sunak won't apologise. And the thing is about all of this from the media as well. The thing about all of this from the media is that I don't think they're necessarily mad at the transphobia, or even mad that it was done in front of Esther Chai's mum. The gender criticals of this world, was inside the press and within the politically active members of society, they continually, as I've said before, they continually dehumanise Brianna Ghey. They continually say awful, awful things about trans people. The most disgusting and depraved things they say about, you know, the murdered child. Let's remember a murdered child, Brianna Ghey. Right? I've seen Graham Linehan, for example, liking tweets calling Brianna Ghey's mum failing her child because Brianna was wanking to lolly porn or something. Like real, absolutely, like bottom of the barrel stuff about a murdered child. The kind of things these people like. And Rishi Sunak and the Conservative Party and our media apparatus have carefully held the line with what the gender criticals of this world want to have their movement be seen as. They spend a lot of money and time in terms of lobbying by having the think tanks who produce the nicely worded reports, with forewords from Rosie Duffield, of course, about the legitimate concerns about trans people, right? What's going to happen to the transes? Look at the wave of detransitioners who are coming because of all of this fake shit we've made up about Tavistock or whatever, right? They're desperate to be seen to be the rational people with legitimate concerns. We know, of course, that they're awful bigots. We've seen the things that they say when they think that no one's listening. We know how they view us. We've seen the posts on Mumsnet. We've seen the threads in all of the gender-critical Facebook groups. We know the kind of opinions they have about trans people. And Sunak broke a omerta. Sunak broke a omerta by doing what they do in public. They're not angry about what he said. They're not angry about the fact that it was said in front of Esther Chai. They're angry because he broke a omerta. He broke the smokescreen. He made everybody in this country see that the anti-trans people in this country are just bigots. They are just bigots. That's all they are. All they care about is hating trans people. They will find any justification to hate trans people, any justification for why their bigotry is somehow scientifically backed, just like the race realists used to do. They will find any chop logic they can to justify their bigotry. And what Sunak did was just show the country that that's all they are. They're just nasty, hateful little rats who just despise a minority and don't even care who they offend about it. They just don't care. And that's why they hate him. That's why they're mad. Is because he broke the omerta.